The very cool and amazing sense of touch is probably one of the better known senses, but in reality it's often misunderstood, misinterpreted, and even misidentified. Hi and welcome to the Schmidt Zone. I'm Matthew Schmidt. Now the sense of touch lives in our skin, in some places more, in others less, but everywhere in our skin. Now the skin covers and defines our whole body, so the sense of touch lives all over the body. But it ends up most intensely in our tongue, lips, and fingertips, which are by far the most sensitive and therefore most active touching tools. Doctors of osteopathy who still practice hands-on OMT can have a sense so developed from decades of practice that they can feel the slightest detail deep inside your body. Or said in another way, some can feel a single hair stuck inside the pages of one of those thick old classic telephone books. The skin is the organ that defines our physical body as well and separates us from the world out there. And deep inside our skin lives the amazing network of tactile nerves. Now each fingertip has more than 3,000 touch receptors, which respond primarily to pressure. Our skin is where we end and the great world begins, the world we touch and experience. So we kind of live in our skin. Now wonder that the physical material world is the realm where the sense of touch comes to be. Our skin is our boundary, and we experience this boundary constantly through touch. But let's dig a little deeper. First, we need to understand that different senses generally work together. Although they are very specific in their activity, they work together. Touch is rarely experienced alone. Touch always works together with the sense of warmth, motion, and balance. Touch even works with sight. When we touch something, we also move across its surface. We experience the object's temperature, and we balance ourselves off of touch. Rarely is the sense of touch experienced alone. Actually, never. So how can we really understand and experience or just analyze how touch works? Let's hypothetically strip away or kick off all those other senses. We need to be in the dark, pitch black, to kick off the sense of sight. Temperature needs to be a perfect 98 degrees. You need to be in your birth suit or at least the bathing suit to take care of the sense of warmth. Then, hands on knees, to limit the sense of balance, we need to make our way across an unfamiliar room or some kind of space. What are we actually doing? Well, we behave like earthworms. We make ourselves earthworms. We'll peel away almost all pressure and contact aiding senses. It's almost impossible, like I said, to just have the sense of touch. But you know what I'm getting at. Guess what happens as we touch, trip, bump, stub, poke, rub, and duck, and scrape ourselves across this dark space? What's happening as we run into and over stuff? Well, outwardly, physically, we experience continued resistance or boundaries from the world right onto us as we move, right? So we experience ourselves very separate from the world. And what's happening inside? What do we experience inside ourselves? Well, we kind of wake up with every touch, with every contact, no matter if it's a grip, a bump, a scrape. We wake up to all the things in this environment. We wonder, what is this and what is that? Do I know this and do I know that? We're getting in touch with everything excessively to find out what it is and where we are at. Now, this primal touching experience is a strange and uncomfortable feeling, somewhat like being literally out of control and in the dark. Now, what I'm trying to illustrate is that touching means waking up, connecting to all things, waking up to the world, but also feeling separate, feeling boundaries. Watch little children and see how that primal touching is at work. When they touch everything in their path, as they try over and over and over again, they continuously experience this waking up phenomenon and learn as they crawl, toddle, roll, walk, and run into boundaries and experience limits and develop capabilities. This is what kids do all day long. Now, this is the most important learning process in early childhood, to master the world and myself. Growing up means waking up, and waking up means getting in touch with who you are. Self-realization is the basis of a differentiated self-image and self-confidence and self-trust. But why through touch? Well, let's see how that waking up happens, even physiologically. What's actually happening as we touch something like a piece of wood or metal, a fruit, or experience sand running through our fingers? You probably assume, just like I did, that you actually end up in another world, the outer world, when you touch the wood, the apple, the sand. You merge with a loved one when you touch their skin. But what we're experiencing when we touch is a change within our own skin, our own self. Now, the surface that we're touching is impressing itself onto me, onto the tactile nerves living underneath or in my skin. I remain separate. The amazing and great big wide world is making billions of impressions on us. And these impressions teach us our boundaries and who we are. And one of the key mysteries and beautiful things about the sense of touch is that we do not end up in another world, the outer world. We stay in our own. But with each impression, we are continuously waking up, becoming conscious, self-conscious of who we are. That's why kids want and need to touch everything, because it's about finding out who they are. So now it's easy to understand why humans need a rich and diverse touching experience, especially growing children. From the first breath to the graduation of high school, there is so much kids need to touch. Because the richer, the more diverse this touching experience, the more distinguished their self-image, the more grounded and well-rounded that person will be. I've watched it happen with my own eyes, and that's what's so amazing. And touch is just one of the 12 senses we need to develop. Touch is the first sense on the ladder, also because it is one of the first human sensory experiences. It begins before birth, early in the womb, and then culminates with this incredible primal touching experience we call birth, which is a pushing through the narrow birth canal into open, independent life. A most significant bonding experience for any child and mother. Then the first postnatal tactile experience is skin on skin with mother and father and so on. Until about 3 years, the baby's primary touching tools are not yet the fingers. It's the mouth, lips, and tongue, sucking and breastfeeding, gurgling, blowing bubbles, basically touching and experiencing everything with and through the mouth. Now, I know there's a lot of fear out there around babies and toddlers and so on, and I just want you to understand that the desire to touch and put everything in the mouth is not a design flaw. It's an innate wisdom within children and so necessary for a healthy child development. Be safe, but let them have a rich and diverse all-skin, all-mouthing experience with hopefully natural, untreated materials. And when they're older, safe wrestling and tickling and other playful activities that promote a healthy development. Like I said, with every touching experience, we are waking up, we are growing up, and this is not often easy and sometimes painful. Touching has a lot to do with consciousness. It makes us become more conscious, and that is always a challenging path. Our skin, with its sense of touch folded in, is deeply personal and private. Touching someone or being touched by something or someone are two very different encounters. Touching is about you, and being touched more about them. Touching, holding, and hugging someone or have someone hold you can be a deeply calming and fulfilling experience, but it can be equally stressful, even repulsive. Inappropriate touching or without consent can be traumatic and even criminal. Same place, same thing can produce opposite reactions, opposite experiences. In support of a healthy sensory development, we need to understand and respect that, especially when promoting a healthy and rich touching experience. By touching someone physically but also verbally and emotionally, we have already crossed that personal space, the skin, so to speak, and imprinted ourselves. To do that, we need to ask for consent and permission, and we also have to give that to be touched. Now, we need to always remember that and remind ourselves, with touch, we have the power to heal or to hurt. And because of this power, touch has another important and profound role to play: the development and building of faith. Yes, faith, but not so much in a religious construct of belief, rather seen as an inner strength. Like faith we have in the integrity of the world and truthfulness of people, the world around us. Trust that the world is authentic, that is there for you and genuine and good. If we can touch something, it's real, right? It's actually there. It's not a dream or illusion. It's there. It touches us back. With the sense of touch, we confirm what other senses might only assume. When we have an extreme and unbelievable sort of experience, colliding realities, we can pinch ourselves to rule out that we are dreaming, that what we just experienced or we just saw is real and true. Now that's the power of touch. So an evolving touching experience cements faith in the truthfulness of the world and our own self-awareness and self-confidence. Now, I also believe and know from experience that that is a part of the artist and athlete's journey. From apprentice or rookie to mastery, it's all about building the skill with the help of touch. And that's really another important reason for all the parents out there that we really want to surround ourselves, especially our children, with things made from natural materials that come from nature. Everything real, really, especially clothing, lotions, soaps, cosmetic, carpets, floors, walls, linens, and toys. And that goes especially for the little ones, because all sensory experiences impressed upon us by products of nature like dirt, wood, soil, sand, stone, wool, or cotton, wax, metal, even dough reveal a rich and complex and authentic world, while fake stuff, created with synthetic materials and no matter how sophisticated, deceive our sense of touch and fool us. Living and playing surrounded by plastics and other synthetic materials creates mistrust, insecurity, and a poor self-image because the artificial surfaces that we perceive in no way, shape, or form compare to the quality and complexity of nature's products and what they impress on the child's senses just in terms of shape, size, weight, density, and moisture alone. Now, our sense of touch, of course, extends beyond the skin of our body and to our inner self, our emotions or soul and spirit. All sensory perceptions evoke feelings. Our language is rich of touching expressions. We can be touched by words, looks, ideas, stories, or an event, even to the extent that it affects our life. We can equally touch someone by what we say or by who we are or how we act. Certain concepts, people, or ideas are just untouchable. We can be in touch with something or completely out of touch. Now, most of us don't believe something until they can see it, or even better, touch it. Now, a few have a golden touch, and some of us have completely lost their touch. Now, being enthusiastic quite literally means being touched by God. The sense of touch has a loud and clear role to play, that of separation and reconnection. As strange as it might sound, but without the sense of touch, we would be asleep, numb. We would be really one with the cosmos in the state of paradise. We would be lost souls without consciousness. So it is fair to say that we, all of us, mankind, were released from the divine, from paradise, to go on this adventure, this journey of emancipation, to find ourselves and individuate. And yet, with everything we humans do, we have the deep desire to return. Did you ever ask yourself, why do we want to touch, understand, own, or have everything? Well, really, it's because we desire beyond anything in life to connect, to participate, and to belong. To comprehend and to own is somehow this idea to connect. What a beautiful paradox. While we experience our separate self through touch, it also fulfills the urge to reconnect and belong. All human activities, physical, emotional, and spiritual in nature, from sexual love to platonic love we labor for each other, to the love for the divine, are about balancing two deeply inherent human traits, defining ourselves as human individuals and simultaneously connecting and belonging to a greater purpose and greater family. So where are we in the present state of humanity? We're out of touch with ourselves, with our planet. We have physically, emotionally, and mentally detached ourselves from nature and our higher purpose and common path. Through touching, we can bring ourselves back into balance. We can get to know ourselves. We can learn something. And we can get to know someone else. We can be intimate and close. We can belong. And when we belong, we can love. Without the sense of touch, we could neither know ourselves nor become conscious of each other and the divine. Touching is separation and connection at once. And touchdown! Thank you so much for watching. Check out all the other cool content on the Schmid Zone and n2k.world. And please share, let me know your thoughts. And I will see you next time when we tackle the life sense, the sense of vitality. We'll see you then.